guys, welcome. This is a general reading for the collective of Libra, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. You can be here as a cross watcher too. Welcome. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. This reading is date and time specific. Most of my readings are not, but this one is based on the transit of Saturn moving out of Aquarius and into Pisces. And most of the subscribers on the channel have been asking me for some transit readings. How does it impact your relationships? So that's what we're going to look at today. So let's talk about the archetypes. Pisces, the archetype, it's the last sign of the zodiac before we close out the zodiacal year and move into the next season, which is Aries. It's about completions. It's about transition. It's about releasing, letting go of things that hold us back. Or don't serve us anymore, or that we don't want to take with us moving forward. And it's also about dissolving. So with dissolving comes forgiveness, right? And that sort of release where we're all one, so no grudges, we don't hold on to anything in anger. We kind of, it's just not worth it. Pisces understands that. Pisces is ruled by Neptune, which is the great spirit, and Pisces gets this. So Saturn comes along, moves into Pisces and says, whoa, wait a minute, right? We need structure here. Saturn is about structure and rules and limitations and restrictions. And yes, it's about growth, but by virtue of learning lessons, sometimes karmic lessons, sometimes by way of powerful reckonings. So Saturn comes into Pisces and says, wait a minute, there are boundaries. And there are limitations. So it's kind of not an easy, comfortable fit. Saturn takes about 2.5 to 3 years to move, change signs, because sometimes there's a retrograde involved, sometimes there's not. So essentially, I'm just going to, rough calculate, Saturn hasn't been in Pisces for 30 years. So some of you have never experienced Saturn in Pisces, and some of you, you're going to go back in your mind 30 years, you're going to be like, oh, I know exactly what lessons I learned, especially when it comes to boundaries and forgiveness, spiritual discipline and practice, so that's what we're talking about. And for the next 2.5 to 3 years, these are some of the themes that will be coming through in your connections. So let's jump in. And before I do, one last note. For those of you who have been asking, the morning musings are now available for individual purchase. I do a little mini reading every morning, and that's usually for the channel membership. And that's a monthly membership. It's the little join button next to the subscribe button. And now there is a link in the description box that you could just purchase a one-off if you want it. Some people have been asking. So there it is, and you can test it out. And if you enjoy it, you can consider joining us in the membership. Okay, Libra, here we go. Oh, Page of Cups, beautiful. So the overall energy is about messages of love or apologies, something sincere from the heart. Well, I like that. Yes. This first row, I'm looking at the Pisces archetype of release, transition, completion, something you may need to let go of, or that's going to be in the rear view mirror soon. The second row here is Saturn. It's lessons being learned and rewards being offered for, Saturn wants to reward us, for a job well done. Queen of Pentacles on the bottom is interesting, as that is about self-care and getting your own life in order. This last row here will be about your next highest timeline. And all I mean by that is, as you grow, as you grok the lessons that Saturn's teaching you, you don't have to repeat them. You get to ascend. So this is really me saying, in your next highest timeline, as you ascend, what will that look like as a result of the growth that you've had and the rewards and blessings you receive? So what are you releasing? We have the Death card, Six of Swords, Knight of Cups. I feel like there was an ending here with someone, and you're kind of being guided to get beyond it, to grow from it, to release it, to get to some calmer waters, or at least some peace of mind. For some of you, with regard to the Knight of Cups happens to be Pisces energy is associated with the sign of Pisces. So, you know, in the Virgo reading yesterday, the whole construct was romantic, flowery romantic language and gestures versus emotional maturity, integrity, and availability. And so I feel like this is kind of on that vein, something that is a little bit more of romantic flirtation. I'm not going to call it a fantasy, but a vision, the idealized vision we have of the relationship, but something didn't kind of go the way you wanted it to. And maybe not even the way your person intended, which may be why we have the Page of Cups here. Because there may be a need for an apology. But regardless, you're being told, let it go, grow, change, transform, move forward, release it, get some peace of mind. Then Saturn comes along, and we're looking at 10 of Pentacles, the Sun, and the 7 of Swords. So the lesson may be about denial. The lesson may be about avoidance. The power of the Sun here in the middle is that all the energy goes to that center card. So this is about your happiness, and it's also about your future. Put that together. Your future happiness depends on you not avoiding situations and or not dealing with people who avoid, you know, especially in relationship, people who avoid confrontation. I'm not saying confrontation like hostility. I'm saying there are things that happen in relationships where we get disappointed in each other. And you gotta work through it. You gotta talk through it. And it doesn't always feel good, but you can't avoid it and you can't go run away. But I'm feeling like there may be something. 7 of Swords is also about deception and perceptions around deception and betrayal, right? It's the liar, cheater, stealer card. So if this is a pattern that's been in your connection or relationship after relationship after relationship, where you constantly feel you're either being taken advantage of or lied to or cheated on or deceived in some way, and or you're avoiding dealing with those topics and avoiding dealing with something that is not ideal, okay, then Saturn's teaching you that your future happiness depends on you facing this head on. Okay. And then your next highest timeline, yeah, Knight of Swords, speaking truth to power. It can be about clearing the air as well. I'm seeing reconciliation as part of your next highest timeline. High Priestess, because you're trusting your inner knowing. You're trusting your intuition, your inner guidance, and your connection to the divine. This is Pisces too. So I'm getting the feeling here, Libra, that, or whoever you are watching, that what you're leaving behind is something that kind of met, it was like a disappointing end. It wasn't tower moment level. It wasn't full on destructive. I'm just feeling disappointment here, and something that's kind of caused you some questions of who can I trust, right? So let's see what the clarifiers tell us. Page of Cups. Yeah. So we're looking at an overall energy here where you feel defeated, where there's an apology needed, or at least a message from the heart that says, you know, I don't feel good about how that went. The 5 of Swords can be poor choices, right? But usually it's involved. What's involved with those poor choices is hurting someone, sabotaging something that's good, self-sabotage. But I'm feeling here, because I'm seeing this Knight of Cups, 7 of Swords, High Priestess, your intuition is telling you that, you know, that energy of defeat is because somebody played you. And when that happens, we kind of shrink back. We pull back. We make ourselves small. We don't want to, you know, step forward with any measure of temper whatsoever. It's like we pull back entirely and retreat into ourselves. And so what's needed here, I hope you can see that, is a kind word, something sincere that says, yeah, you didn't deserve that, and I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. I know, I'm like, Death and the Six of Swords. Ace of Swords has been coming out in almost every reading. Wow. Seeing clearly. So the Pisces portion, as Saturn moves into Pisces, the Pisces portion is saying almost like, what did you expect? You need to move forward. You're going to have to put some boundaries in place. Four of Pentacles. Release what you can't bring forward with you. This is the release. That's the Death card is Scorpio, which is about release and grow. You know, it's the Death card because that is the archetype of the 8th house and of Scorpio and of Pluto is, right, things die off. Some things just aren't meant to be carried forward. Well, what's not meant to be carried forward are boundary issues or something that you should, almost as if the Pisces part is saying you should have not expected anything different here. So move on. Tighten up your boundaries and move on. Whew. And let's look at the Knight of Cups, because that's what I think you were waiting on. This exact, different decks, different day, different sign, same message. We have, or similar message. We have the Knight of Cups and the King of Cups. The Knight of Cups, like I said, the flowery, romanticized version of a connection. And whoever this is just raged against the machine. No way. Not what I want. So there's defensiveness and a resistance there on the part of the person you were dealing with. And the truth is there's like this sort of imposed delay. I'm not going to say stagnant, but for some of you, you'd be going like, yeah, it was very stagnant, nothing changed. But for most of you, I'm feeling like this didn't move forward because Spirit pulls you back. This is Pisces, by the way, pulls you back and says, I want you to take a big look at this, like the bigger picture. Because what you think you want is this flowery, romantic, Bridgerton, okay, Bridgerton-ized version of love and romance. What you really want is someone with some emotional integrity and maturity, and who will show up for you emotionally, even if the words don't always come out of their mouth. The issue with the King of Cups, which I also told Virgo, so if you have Virgo in your chart, if you're dealing with a Virgo, please watch that reading. A lot of the energies here are very similar. What I told them is, the King of Cups is often finds himself, and I'm only saying he because it's a king, it could be a woman, like a man on an island there, floating out in the middle of the water, in the depth of their feelings with nowhere to go with it. They don't always have the easiest time articulating the feelings, but it isn't for the lack of having them. Deep waters with this card, with the King of Cups. It is Scorpio energy, so very intense, very emotional, very deep. Scorpio is emotional maturity. So I'm feeling like that's the message of Pisces. What did you think was going to happen? What did you expect? Tighten up your boundaries. Get some peace of mind. Move beyond this. And release the one who resisted the connection, who kind of stepped in it or set you up for an emotional fall. Let it go. Release it. And then we have the Ten of Pentacles and the Sun. This is Saturn coming in. Wow. Remember, I said this is about your future, and we have here the Strength card is Leo, as is the Sun. So if you're dealing with Leo, you're getting some confirmation, as is the King of Wands. Leo, Leo, Leo. The Moon is Pisces, but it's also our fears. It's also our apprehensions and, are triggers. So this is about your future happiness. And I feel like there's some fear here around, will this person be brave enough to claim the love that I have to offer? And that's what the lesson will be about. We're not at the rewards portion of the program, I'm afraid. We're at the lesson portion. Is your fear might get in the way. And so Saturn's trying to talk to you about your future happiness and maybe overcoming your own fear about whether or not anyone will ever come to claim that love. And then we've got the Seven of Swords. Ugh, I know. Queen of Wands. Ace of Cups. Seven of Cups. The Seven of Cups underneath is interesting for those of you who are new. When I pull from the bottom of the deck, which I do frequently, I'm tapping into unconscious awareness or energies that are rising up in your psyche or playing out behind the scenes. And this is confusion. This is emotional overwhelm. It can be a card of options, but the way it's coming out, Seven of Cups to the Seven of Swords, it's almost like, I don't know who to trust. I don't know what's going on here. I'm very overwhelmed. And Saturn's saying your reward, oh gosh, I feel like this Queen of Wands has been showing up a lot too. Your reward for sort of reclaiming your power and not being victimized, but instead creating those very important boundaries that bring you peace, Six of Swords, and allow you to move past drama and people who aren't very kind, Five of Swords, Seven of Swords, who can't be trusted. The reward for sort of toughing it out with the emotional confusion and overwhelm, but sitting in your power, is love. Is it true love? Ace of Cups. So I do feel I'm seeing a mix here of lesson and reward, Libra. It's not all negative. It's not all karmic reckoning. I just feel like you're kind of in the midst of a situation where you're hanging on to something and it feels from the cards like it's a futile effort. And it isn't making you feel any better about you, about the connection, about your prospects for a happy future, a long-term partnership, So that's why you're being encouraged to release it. I am sorry, hair is driving me absolutely nuts today. Okay, so now we're looking at your next highest timeline. So saying that we're working on these lessons of trusting ourselves and standing and reclaiming our power and standing in it and overcoming our fears, and creating better boundaries and letting go of people who resist what we have to offer them, especially when it's love. Here we go. Knight of Swords, Six of Wands. Wow. Yes, beautiful. In comes the passion, fast and furious. Out goes the negative karma. And there's our Knight of Cups coming in for the reconciliation. So in your next highest timeline, on some level, the one who shows up to meet you in the middle, to extend an olive branch, to make peace, to clear the air, to reignite the torch of passion, it just might be this Knight of Cups vision you've held in your head, because that's in unconscious awareness. But it just shows up in a different way. It shows up in a way that feels more clear, right? Less uncertain. It might have a few sharp edges, Knight of Swords. It may be more direct and less romantic. It may be actually more passionate. And passion, right? Even anger, even temper is passion. So it could be someone that comes in to say, wait a minute. I got something to say here. And by virtue of them doing that, you're like, oh, all right. Well, then it would, maybe I misunderstood, or maybe you didn't make yourself clear, or maybe the pattern that unfolded left me feeling very taken advantage of, very dismissed, very defeated over and over again. I'm feeling it's a repeated pattern here. And then we have the High Priestess. Yeah. And for trusting your own intuition and for operating from your own connection to the divine, you get to move forward victoriously. There's victory in that Chariot. Ooh, I love that. Whole new beginning. Up-leveling the connection. Could be a new connection for some of you. Ace of Cups and Ace of Pentacles. Right? Yes, something more committed. The Ace of Pentacles and the Hierophant are cards of commitment. So for being true to you and trusting your inner knowing and intuition, someone new for some of you could come in, and they won't mix words. It won't be flowery, but it will be like, wait a minute, I'm here to claim the prize and you're the prize. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? So that's kind of what I'm seeing if it's someone new. If it is this person who has disappointed you, who has been avoidant and or deceptive and or defensive and or resistant and or whatever, right? You can fill in the blank for that. That's what you're releasing. It could be that they return and that their attitude is different and that you hear them differently, Knight of Swords, and that it leads to some form of reconciliation, that you feel safe and you can trust it. Your intuition guides you forward and you get to up-level the connection. So I am feeling it's possible to be both someone that you've been dealing with that's disappointed you and, or not that they've disappointed you, but there are hurt feelings involved. Oh, but it could also be somebody brand new. So that's what I have for you, Libra. Let me tell you the astrology. Also, before I do that, there is a link in the description box below that will take you to the extended. And we're going to look at this person. We're going to look at the one who's kind of left you in the lurch. So that is what we have in the extended, for those of you who are curious. We have the Page of Cups, which is Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. We have the Death card is Scorpio. Knight of Cups is out twice. That is Pisces energy. Hanged Man is Pisces energy. We have King of Cups, Scorpio. As I said earlier, Strength card, King of Wands, and the Sun. Leo, Leo, Leo. The Moon is more Pisces. So we have strong Pisces and Leo energy here. Queen of Wands is Aries. Knight of Swords is Gemini. High Priestess, Pisces. Chariot is Cancerian energy. And the Hierophant is Taurus. So that's what I have for you, Libra. Pretty interesting reading. The link to the extended is below. I'll see you there in a second. Bye for now.